book lovers, welcome back to my channel. And for all the amazing people who are new over here, this is me Yamini. Hi. And it's been a wonderful week, especially talking about the first week of January. New year, new vibes, and I've got to spend a lot of time around books and coffee. So I'll quickly take you through loitering around the bookstore, looking at all the shelves, classics, editions, and every place other than that. And it was a beautiful moment looking at all those books. There were a couple of new books as well, but I wasn't much, and I was just trying to control myself from getting any more books that I already have. My TBR shelf is almost full, and I really want to read them ahead before actually getting any new copies. Okay, so first things first, I got a book mail from Imbyflex Books, which was this book. It's the second part of The Last Saxon King, which we read and reviewed last time during the year. It's about to be coming out in March 2023, so do check that out. This is actually a second part of the story where Dan, who is the main protagonist, tries and understands that time jumping is a real thing, and now he is burdened with the whole responsibility of saving the world. So how he takes the story forward, we'll be reading that in this particular part. Very excited for it. And this is the first part of the book, which is out to come in March 2023, and towards the year end we'll be having the second part too. So I'm very excited to get my hands on both of these copies. Thank you so much Imbyflex Books for actually sending them over. And yes, the author of these books is Andrew Werka, so you can check him out as well. If you are also interested in enrolling for the ARCs, they are actually distributing ARCs via various platforms. You can check NetGalley, Edelweiss, Book Sirens. Quickly moving on to the reading updates that we have for this week. The first book on the list of review is The Secret of Lost Pearls. It's actually a murder mystery that I read as an ARC, where the main protagonist Rosalind is basically responsible to find secrets of the society, be it the elite group members of the royal posh Shosha people, or even you can say the drunkards roaming around the street. Now the book actually spends a decent amount of time building the overall plot, introducing characters in Jane Austen style, and to that note it also references different lines from Jane Austen's work actually, wherever particular situation comes up, and then you will be reading those lines and referenced as dash Jane Austen. Now for a Jane Austen fan like me, this would obviously be a good thing, but for people who are not so much into the classic literatures would be missing out on things and wouldn't get those concepts why those lines are being referenced. If you have not already read those books, then it would be a little off note for you. But otherwise it was a one-time decent read for me, because though the characters and the plot were good enough, the whole suspense build-up for a detective story wasn't enough to get you back into the story once you stop reading it. You have to actually push yourself a little bit to get started on reading that book once again. Next on the list, we have The Queen of Myth and Monsters, which is the second part in the trilogy of Adrian and Isobel's story. And this is by Scarlett St. Clair. So obviously the steam level or the heat level in this particular book is quite high. So if you do actually enjoy fantasy books with smut romance embedded into the story, I think this would be a good fit for you. For me personally, the smuttiness was a little too much, and I was basically skipping through those parts across the book and just focusing on the elements of vampires, magic, witches and shapeshifters and all those things. And overall it was a decent read, I would say, for me. And considering that I have read the two parts in the story, I'm actually looking forward to the third part coming out too, because in the second part there have been things that have been left unsaid and we need more of it. Next on the list, we have Wabi Sabi. Now, in my personal experience, since I actually read Ikigai, I think a doorway to a simplistic living and learning has been opened up in my life, and I see myself actually constantly being attracted to such kind of books. To give you an example, I actually read The Little Book of Hugu last year towards the end itself, and now I actually started this year with Wabi Sabi, which is basically my first read of this year. Talking about the concept, Wabi and Sabi are actually two different words in Japanese, where Wabi actually refers to finding beauty in simplistic things and tending yourself towards spirituality and detaching yourself from the materialistic world. Whereas Sabi is more relevant to how time passes, and that passage of time is actually visible in the growth and decay in life and in death, and how basically different humans, plants, or any other living organisms showcase that change in themselves with the passage of time. Now, there's this discussion about how we actually behave with people and how we actually formulate different opinions about people, especially around people whom we hate or we love. We basically think about certain aspects of their nature. For example, this person is very responsible, or this person is not at all responsible, he's very clumsy. And then our brain just starts creating or looking for instances to prove this theory. So if I think about a particular person that, okay, he's not at all responsible, my brain will start looking for instances where I could actually prove this theory for myself. And with that, what I'm basically doing is I'm putting too much pressure on my own brain, analyzing, de-analyzing those theories and instances that are occurring in real life, looking for only those things just to prove my theory right. And what I'm basically doing is I'm discarding all the other instances that are taking places where that person could also be responsible, where that person could be loving, caring, angry, or anything. So the overall concept by being aware about this topic is to keep yourself under control and your thoughts under control. Next on the list, we have Briardark, which I would personally categorize as a mystery / science fiction / horror. The storyline about this book is around a group of researchers who are basically sent to Briardark, which is a death switch wilderness, where they will be doing a research upon a depleting glacier and what is the effect around the surrounding flora and fauna. But they are just 30 minutes into their trek inside the mountains and things are already falling off the path. They have already discovered a missing hiker's dead body. They have also seen a peak which is additional to the map or the topography that they have, and people have started to disappear into nothingness of the plant and trees that basically surround them. So they are pretty freaked out, creeped out, and there are bone-chilling anomalies mentioned into the book that you must read. Now let me just tell you, the pace of this book was a little too slow for me, but the horror and creepy vibes, also the mystery vibes, were very bone-chilling to its core. And just a quick few disclaimers, the book actually ends on a cliffhanger and I don't know when the next part is coming out, so be aware before picking this one up. And before we actually move ahead to our next book, let me just tell you guys, this is officially my year of cliffhangers, because I have read like around 7ish books in the last 10 days and 3 to 4 out of them have been ended on a cliffhanger, which is not really my favorite type of ending. And now I'm just thinking, will my whole year be going like that? Which takes me to the next book, Stardust in Their Veins. Now this is the second book in Castles in Their Bones trilogy, and obviously because this is part of a series that could possibly lead in a cliffhanger. However, I had hopes and I was scattered to my core because it did end on a cliffhanger. After losing their sisters, Beatrix and Daphne are actually shattered to their core, but their mother is still not done. I don't know what kind of a mother she is. She still wants to use her children to their core to gain all the access of powers and empires that she could possibly get. Talking about this overall series, I think it's filled with different kingdoms, heirs to the thrones, and the elder ones always meddling with other people's life and trying to create matches for marriage just for the sake of leveraging power. There are three things that I really loved about this book. One was the concept of using stardust to do the magic that they were doing. The second was the study of stars and using their alternative positions to actually predict the future. And the third one was that no female in this book has been portrayed as a damsel in dress kind of a person. They are all furious, they are all intelligent, strong, and on fire. Next on the list, we have Focus. Now, this is a memoir category non-fiction book that I read recently. The storyline of this book is around a woman who is basically forced to focus around things what's right in front of us, which is basically metaphorically and also literally, because she is losing her peripheral vision. Initially, they showcase and discuss the struggles that are there because of the problem that she's facing, and then there is a sense of denial that this could possibly not happen to me, what could be the worst, and gradually over time comes the level of acceptance that needs to be there, and then basically deciding how to go forward and what all things needs to be done. I'm not really sure what made me tear up during this book, but let me just tell you, this is a very emotional read. And I actually just started reading memoirs last year, and since then it has been a journey of gratitude and acceptance towards what I have in life. Let's appreciate that, because many people don't have that, and time and again, though we keep saying it to ourselves and to other people, we tend to forget that and take things so leniently. And when I was reading about this author's struggles and difficulties, how basically she's not dying, she's going to live without a key sense, one of the five senses that you actually have in your life. Without that, how would she even cope up with that? And with that, we have finally made it to the last book of today's review list, The Keeper of Lost Things. Now, let me just say, the starting of the book was really good. I was intrigued by the whole concept, and especially Anthony's character building was great. He was the only thing that kept me going throughout the book. But I think the book actually loses its charms as it starts progressing into the story, and then there are other characters involved which are pretty dull. I don't have any other word to explain this. I did do a detailed Bookstagram review, and one of my Bookstore buddies just suggested that I DNF this book. How could you even get through this? Which was a shocking reminder to myself that why did I spend so much time reading a book that I did not even like. So pretty average. Only Anthony was the good part in this book. Everything else was... And that, my friends, were all the things that I basically did in the first 10 days of January. Do let me know what you all did in the first week of the year. How did it go for you guys, and how are you feeling right now? And I'll catch up with you next time. Until then, keep your coffee strong and your TBRs long. Goodbye.